Hello and welcome to the Red Bull Ring. Welcome to the OVRC for round 2 of the OVRC Porsche GT3 Cup. I am joined by Erwin,
Hello again.
and we are, as said, at the Red Bull Ring, based in Austria. Very well known track used in F1, and been around for not that long, but nowadays it's quite well known. It's featured in a lot of different sims and used quite a lot in the real world. ADAC GT Masters race here, F1 races here, I think some TCR series races here as well. So pretty much every sort of category of racing does go to the Red Bull Ring at some point. And we are in with using the Porsche GT3 Cup cars, cars which are very well known to be tricky. And Red Bull Ring's Turn 1 is also known to be very tricky.
Yeah, so that's going to get interesting.
Yeah,
The race starts especially.
But if you didn't know, Red Bull Ring Turn 1 is known for being able to,
Yes.
not just death, not as the car's going to go, it's a very sharp corner. The curb on the inside is a bit known to flipping cars over on their roofs.
Yeah, that we've seen that happen a few times. Yes.
And I was one of them back in over the season 1 of GT3 when we did it. I managed to roll my Nissan at Turn 1 in the race. So I have first-hand experience of flipping a car at this track, and obviously you have raced here before. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I've raced it at some point. I'm not sure I've done it in like an OVRC league environment, but I've raced it a few times in sims.
I mean, again, it's quite a well-known track, and it's used a lot, and it's really good for a lot of different types of cars. Actually, lots of straights, but a really tricky sector 2, which has also got another nasty catch on it. It's quite bumpy going down the hill, and these cars are very tricky down there. I've driven the cars around a bit just to get some use of the track, and the car does not want to stay still. It wants to bounce, and it wants to fling its rear out and spin into a gravel trap. So it'll be interesting to see how well people do in a pack, especially when the first couple of laps here. Remember, it's 2 races, 2 30-minute races, as the first cars now head out onto the track, as they've got 17 minutes to qualify. As Mark Whitford is first out on track, so we've got a bit more time until they will be heading out, obviously. Yeah, it should be a fairly interesting race. Should be a fairly interesting qualifying session, because actually, for a few people doing practice, we've got very much close to each other in the top end. That'd be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah, so shall I go over the championship standings?
Yes, you want to
While
do
we're
it
waiting
quickly?
for the cars to start their first lap. Okay, so the Drivers' Championship currently leading is Jaroslav Hanzik with 200 points. In second, it's Thomas Jansen with 160 points. In third is Mark Whitford with 128 points. Tom Pottish is in fourth position with 74 points. And then in fifth there is Victor Berlin with 68 points. Then in the team championships, leading is Porsche Motorsport with 212 points. In second is JRD Racing with 200 points. In third, it's BF Racing with 128 points. And there is Flying Monsters Racing in fourth with 105 points. And then in fifth, there is DFGT with 87 points.
Thank you for that. Smart Wolf is now begin his first lap, as he is now going to head out. Through turn 1 he goes, and starts the upwards part, the ascent, as you climb the hill, and up to turn 2, which is another very sharp corner. Yeah, very tricky to get on the power here. These cars do not have ABS or traction control, so then you can't just stamp the foot down and expect the car to go. You do have to feather it Unlike some more modern machines, Mark is the rear end didn't really stay stable during that, as he now starts the descent down the hill. Now he's going to the very bumpy section, which I mentioned earlier. This corner here is very bumpy indeed. You can somewhat see that through the TV cameras, how much the car is bouncing around, not just on the curbs, but on the main bit of asphalt as well. And to the final two corners, very hard to get a valid lap round here because it's so easy just to run out wide there and use the curb and get an off track. The final corner onto two wheels for a second then. And you'll now cross the line. And we'll set a 131.837. So that's our first time. There's Kovalainen and Robin Nygaard all set times just behind.
Dendo will be next to cross the line and he takes fourth with 3.7 seconds off. And second goes to Radek Polexak, half a second behind Mark Whitford. With a few more people setting times right now. Alexander Secher takes P8. Scott Stevenson takes P5.
Thomas Janssen will be crossing the line very shortly.
Yeah, so will he take first position right now? No, he won't. He'll be in second for now.
Bit surprising from that.
Radek Polexak is currently fastest in Sector 1. He does have a bit of traffic coming up, which appears to be Tej Dendo, who's currently in 13th position. That could get in the way of Radek getting a clean lap. Looks like he will.
Yeah, not in the place you really want to meet traffic. Ooh, he gets a bit sideways there.
Yeah, I think that will have compromised this lap.
So far, all but two cars are on track, so track's still fairly busy. With a total of 23 cars currently on the server.
So Radek crossed the line now, and yeah, he lost a lot of time through that. He was 8 tenths off. As Thomas Janssen is improving, is going fastest in sector 1 and 2. Though he does have a bit of traffic, actually a lot of traffic, in the final sector.
It's a big pack of cars there. We got a little map overlay we can see, and it's just a gaggle of cars surrounding Thomas Janssen right now. As that's, I'll work out which car is in front of him. Making a bit of tow, and he will put himself on pole for 131.668.
Looks like it was Manuel Kwiatkowski in front of him. Manuel has not yet set a lap. And the Radeon Vega livery apparently. I didn't know there was one of those. I know there's just an AMD livery, but not a specific Radeon one.
There's also an Intel and Nvidia one, so whichever your favourite brand is you can fanboy over, you can have a livery for that if you felt like it. It's very kind of Race Room. They have your fanboy wars in racing. And a few cars are now sitting in the pit lane with 10 minutes to go. But still, most of the cars are still out on track, trying to get as quick as time as possible.
Slav Hansik is currently down in P8, but he's looking to improve right now. Trying to get closer to Thomas Janssen. I think it was Hansik who was leading in practice, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Janssen in P2.
Good news for him, he does have a bit of clear track up ahead. He's not... So he should be able to try and maybe next lap get a fairly clean lap if he needs, as he does jump up to P3. where he will appear in the standings of after this lap. I believe Thomas Jansen is now rolling out the pit lane now, so he's on an out lap. Or is that someone else? No, Sebastian Brunier. There's two cars using that same livery.
As Honzik now goes fastest in Sector 1. Just 0.017 of a second.
The
So it's
car...
not by much, but every little bit counts.
Now, not that it means much, but currently Mark Whitford has the highest top speed right now on the entire circuit.
Huh.
Just heading into turn 3. So, random fact, he was reaching a speed of, I can't read that number. Hang
Let me
on.
magnify my map a little bit. It's 246 kilometers an hour.
There we go. So, as Honzik sets fastest sector 2. It's all about the final
Again,
section.
but just 0.005 of a second.
Now, one thing I did notice in practice is sector 3 seems to be the sector where you gain or lose all your time. A lot of people earlier on in the practice were matching the fastest times in all the other sectors, but as soon as they came to sector 3, lost half a second worth of time.
Doesn't really surprise me, as it is very difficult to get things right in the final sector and not run wide anywhere, as Honzik did just take P1. But Thomas Jansen looks to be going faster right now as he heads through the final corner on his way to the start-finish line, where we can see if he can take his P1 back. So he crossed the line now, and it looks like he will by 0.2 of a second.
Honzik is now, I believe, pulling out the pit lane. Yes, he is pulled out right behind current leader, so he's looking to obviously try and set a faster time, go back to the pits, get some new tyres, refuel the car up, get ready for another runs. One thing to bear in mind, these cars do start with cold tyres, which is less of an issue in qualifying, because obviously you have an out lap, but it does provide an issue on the first lap of the race, because the car just generally feels a lot worse from my experience. It's obviously cold tyres, you understeer a lot, you got no grip. Once the tyre temperature's up, these cars are really good fun to drive actually. But it often catches people out when they try it, saying, oh, this car's awful, understeers. But you've got to let the tyres build up. There's a car static on the track. Ooh! The big old, I believe that's a Sebastian Brunier in the middle of the track and hits right Pletzek. And that's not obviously spun in the down in sector 2. Not quite sure what happened there. I'm gonna quickly check the replay back, and yeah, spun the middle on the. When he collects the car coming through the on the Logitech liveried cars, not these GoPro livery cars. Come on, Alex, you can use your eyes. So we're heading into the 6 minutes mark in about 20 seconds, and still very active track. Only 2 cars out, 1 car in the pit lane right now, so everyone's still very much trying to get the fastest lap as possible.
Yeah, Yves Deleuze seems to be struggling right now on the way down in 22nd.
But the traffic is, I believe, especially for the higher up runners, is probably providing a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Because how many cars are on track at any one time? It's going to be really hard to get a clean lap unless you can obviously try and catch them in the right spots where you can use the slipstream, or they will get out the way for you. But the
It
rules.
is a relatively short track, of course, so these traffic issues are to be expected.
And just a quick clarification of the rules. The rules state that you don't, if you're a slower driver, you do not have to give up your qualifying lap to let a faster driver by. It's their job to overtake you, so you don't have to pull out the way if you're on a quick lap yourself. Because it's not your problem, the fact that they're stuck behind you. So before anyone thinks, oh, the slow drivers should just bank out the way, it's not. The rules state you don't have to do it. Michael Martel will cross the line and improves 2 sectors, but loses out in his middle sector. Now, one thing I've been noticing, a lot of people have been attacking that final corner's curb quite aggressively. And it's got an anti-cut curb, which is very similar to turn 1 as anti-curve line's going past right now. It doesn't hit it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a flip possibly there as well, with how many times people are going 2 wheels there.
Simbunier is on improving lap right now in the first and second sector. Let's see if he gets it right in the third sector, as he is all the way down in P19 for now. And I think he can do better than that, as he's about to cross the line, and he moves up to P12. So that's a nice improvement for him.
Meanwhile, his teammate, Thomas Janssen, who was just doing a really interesting line for turn 3, is improved in sector 1. So he's looking to further extend the gap between him and Honzig. He does lose.
Just started another lap.
Does lose some time out in sector 2, probably by riding a bit too much curb then. Sometimes if you bottom the car out on the curb, you'll lose time, because obviously you are not being able to put full power down on the track. You've got to be a bit careful sometimes. Just see that Janssen has given up on this lap, as he is slowing all the way down, but he's also fired up for another lap.
Also got pretty close to Janssen's sector 1, but he did not improve on it. So let's see what he can do in the other sectors. He's going through sector 2 right now.
As Mark Whitford jumps up to P2.
Ah, very nice.
That's what caught the end of that.
And Honzig will definitely be trying to improve on that now.
Honzig now in P3 as
he loses a bunch of time in sector 2, it seems, so not a good lap for him so far.
And his closest rival has got a faster sector 1 time. Mark Whitford, though, still with the fastest top speed. So if there was points given out for that, he will be gaining that point, but we don't. Because it's a very arbitrary point to give out. Highest top speed point.
So Honzig just crossed the line again, it did not improve, but he will have one more chance to try and make his way up into P2 or P1. As Janssen lost some time in sector 2 this lap.
I don't think you have enough time to set one more, so crossing the line, and that will be his qualifying over. So not many more cars now will be starting to return to the pit lane.
Honzig lost 0.3 of a second in sector 1, and it looks like he's abandoned this lap.
He's returned to the pit lane now. So all the top 5 runners have returned to the pit lane. They obviously all have, so there's no more improvement to be found.
Looks like most of the cars are in the pit lane right now. John Dalton still going around the final sector. He's currently in P7, but he is improving. So let's see if he can gain a couple more positions. And he moves up to P4.
Good work by him. As there's now 30 seconds left, so a lot of people will not be able to finish their laps.
Yeah.
A bit more time left. A lot of people are now just abandoning their laps.
Yeah.
So let's have a quick
So
look.
Thomas Janssen will take pole position ahead of Mark Whitford, Jaroslav Honzig, John Dalton and Michael Martel.
The rest are now on your screen now as well. So interesting result at the top end. Top 3 bit closer, but one of the drivers who was a lot faster in practice, Michael Mortal, is not there. He's 0.6 second down. He's a bit behind the rest. So we're going to prepare for the first race. As we go to the garage. They all start lining up. The one thing to note is that the P2 line is actually, some people say, it's a better line. You're on the inside for turn 1, so if you can get a good launch, you can somewhat jump the leader. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Thomas Janssen to get a good exit here. There's 10 seconds left on the garage, and I believe everyone should be... I hope everyone. I think we have one car missing right now. As we prepare to go, as the lights start flashing. And we are racing. So Thomas Janssen gets a good start there, and White Whitford bogs down a bit and gets Honzig behind him. They all seem to go through turn 1. Still body rubbing from behind, but nothing major just yet, and so they all cleanly get through turn 1. And now start heading up the hill. So into turn 2 they go. Honzig is trying to make the move onto Mark Whitford already. As John Dalton snicks in front of Mark Whitford then. As we have a car stopped at turn 2, that's Victor Berlin. A bunch of tyre smoke going on there, so a possible incident already in the race. As Honzig is now trying to charge down Thomas Janssen if all possible. Pack is already somewhat spread out, which is probably a good thing for Sector 2. All the cars are on cold tyres, remember, so interesting to see how they all will handle getting through here. And so far looks fairly clean as everyone does get through.
Oh, I think somebody spun
someone's
in
backwards.
the last corner. It is Drago's by.
By facing the wrong way in the final corner, made a bit of contact there with another car going through that corner. As John Dalton and Mark Whitford have just exchanged positions now, so Mark Whitford's now back in front into P3. Oh, one's a bit wide.
Like John Dalton might be trying to make the move on Whitford again into turn 3. Whitford will be on the inside.
A bit of contact. Not giving each other any roof.
Yeah.
You can see how tricky these cars are. Sometimes you understeer, sometimes you oversteer. So you got to really balance the car to keep consistent. And John Dalton nearly loses the rear end then.
Yeah, a bit twitchy through there.
As his teammate is now closing the gap down as well behind him. I'll just go further down the order. Pletzek is on the heels of Sebastian Brun as they head into turn 1. Radek on the inside, decides against it, but will keep trying to make his move. We'll be going side by side now up the hill. There's a real bit of contact there between Sebastian and Pletzek. They're still fight side by side now into turn 2. As another car stopped at turn 1.
Oh, someone went off in turn 1.
Oh, Red Bull gets shoved off a bit at turn 3, and so there's another car. It's always stacked.
Oh, Palexak.
Nothing
Did
happened.
not go right for him on the rejoin there.
Didn't quite happen there. I think he got pushed there a bit wide by Sebastian and lost it on the brakes.
Yeah, I think it was John Dalton who went off into the sand there.
Yeah, John Dalton, I think, had to avoid the action and lost a lot of positions as well.
Yeah, he's down to P10. So being in P4.
After what was a great start for him, he's now dropped down the order somewhat. Robert's now going to get up the order again as he's fighting Dragos by behind.
Victor Berlin. Looks like he was making a bit of a move into turn 1, but I don't know exactly what happened. Manuel will be trying to get that position on him though. Into turn 2, and Victor will be on the inside, and looks like he's just about defended that. So he'll still be vulnerable into turn 3. Will Michael try another move? He moves to the outside. And they go round, and looks like...
Going for the cutback.
Yeah. So Victor will have the inside to defend for the next corner. As they go round, and... like Michael just about getting ahead. No, he won't, but too much curb there. And it's looking like Victor will keep that position for now. As Michael drops back a bit. Emmanuel, I mean.
Oh, we got a car going to the pit lane.
Interesting.
What's going on here? So we do have a car heading into the pit lane right now.
Yeah, that is a Michael Jobstool.
So we'll see what he is doing there. Bit interesting because this race does not need a pit stop.
Correct. As he is taking a pit stop anyway. Maybe forgot to change fuel for the race.
That is a possibility.
No, he's changing tires. Oh, not entirely sure what's going on there, but whatever. John Dalton is closing up on Thomas Olsen. They just went around turn 3.
Cove line just goes
Dalton
down the
is very close behind.
Cove line just goes straight down the inside of Alexander Secker. He's trying to make his way back up the order somewhat. Just ahead of them is John Dalton.
John Dalton very close to Thomas Olsen now. As he seems to have lost a bit of time there. So he won't be able to make the move in here. He might be setting himself up for a move into turn 1. It's just looking at the leaders right now. Jensen is definitely pulling ahead of Hansik. About a second and a half now. Dalton is closing up again, so he might be able to do it into turn 2. See what he does. Can he move up the inside?
Oh, it's
like
a
he will.
car.
Oh, the car spun.
Robert Nygaard and Sebastian
Robert
Brunier.
Nygaard, yeah.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
bad timing of turning around there, Sebastian.
Looks like Anton Kivalainen got involved in that as well.
Yeah, Kovalainen I think got caught by Sebastian trying to spin around the car there. Probably been better just to stand still rather than trying to spin the wheels up. Robert Nygaard got involved. There's another car's off as well. Oh, a bit to Berlin's off as well. So all the action happening now down the order. As the order shuffled up once again. It's only been 10 minutes so far, so it'll be interesting to see.
Not even 10 minutes yet.
Not even 10 minutes. Well, John Dalton has managed to get in front of Thomas Olsen. Olsen is trying to possibly make his way back up onto him.
Got Michael Martel closing up on Ryszard Kozłowski. He had a bit of a look up the inside of Kozłowski into turn 1, but couldn't really do anything yet. They are now climbing up to turn 2, and just like Martel will be too far behind.
You know, we are on lap 7. Coming Thomas Janssen with the lead, with a 1.4 second gap over Josef Honzik. Who's then got another 4 second gap to the cars behind, so they've got some little bit of a lead. But the action has definitely not stopped further down the order, as the fight for, well, essentially is P9 is getting close and close every lap, with drivers making mistakes, crashes, spins, everything you could want, as Michael is looking to possibly make a move onto the car in front, but slots him behind for now.
Like they will be close for a little while longer, as Anton Kyvelainen is also closing up on them now. You can see Kyvelainen getting right behind Martel, who is side by side with Kozłowski.
Are they going to go possibly 3 wide? No, they stay 2 wide for now.
So.
Kovalainen decides that maybe going right 3 wide would not be the best idea to turn 1.
Yeah.
And decides to stay behind for now. But definitely are going to still keep fighting as they now head up towards the hill. And
Kyvelainen went up the inside of Martel into turn 2. And he made his way past, so Martel will still be very close behind. In the lead up to turn 3.
Bit of a sneaky move there by Kovalainen to sort of place his car at the inside and sort of said, "This is my position, thank you very much," and sort of just drove off with it. So now he's made his way up into P12, so this is all the way quite far down the order. It's also worth noting that since last season the point system has been revised, so there is still a lot of points to fight for being this far down the order. Whereas before you didn't really get much for anything below the sort of top 10, now you've got lots of points to play for, so it can still definitely decide the championship at this point. As I believe we have a car stopped at turn 1 and he's just disappeared to the pit lane.
Yeah, Yves Deleu has retired.
He was stopped at the exit of turn 1. I didn't quite manage to catch him, but I saw him on the minimap for a split second.
He was all the way down the grid in last position for the entire race, I think.
No, he will be spending the rest of the race in the pit lane.
Maybe better luck for race 2.
Yep.
Kyvelainen has a look up the inside of Kozłowski and he makes for a leg-breaking move.
Tries to do the same thing again. Doesn't really work out.
It hasn't really worked out this time around. As Martel is also getting very close now. But could Martel make the move into turn 3? Looks like he is not going to try. And so Kyvelainen is side by side with Kozłowski now.
Yeah, Kozłowski got a bit slow on the exit there and has let them pass.
He is fast, so maybe Martel could get on Kozlowski, does it look like you
Oh,
will?
car's off as well.
Ooh, that was Thomas Olsen.
Thomas Olsen was in the gravel track there, so he's gone off a bit. He was fighting, I believe, with John Dalton last time we saw him. So they also had a bit of an incident, as Robert Nygaard is now on the back of Sebastian Brunier. And these two were involved in the incident, I believe, a bit earlier on at turn 2.
Martel goes down the inside of Kozlowski in the final corner. And he is past now, but Kozlowski will be very close behind on the main straight. And possibly able to make the move into turn 1. Doesn't look like he will. And so Martel has taken P11.
Just looking around trying to figure out as the closest fight is what's on screen right now between Robert Nygaard and Sebastian Brunier. Sebastian is a bit looser. It's a very late defensive line then and does lose a bit of time. He loses a lot of time as he's going to get passed by possibly 2 cars now. As they're going to go 3 wide down towards turn 3 and they goes 2 wide. As Robert Nygaard, unfortunately, and Sebastian makes both the places up. Going to defend now from the car on the inside, and that is Kozlowski.
Oh, Michael Martel spun in turn 3.
Yeah, so a bit of
And he's dropped down to P19, possibly to P20.
a puff, a little bit of smoke then. Sebastian Brunier does lose to Kozlowski. So he's now down. Robert Nygaard loses the position out of that. So the one which was always putting all the pressure onto Sebastian doesn't actually gain anything out of it. But he's definitely going to now try and make another pass on Sebastian. He's closed the gap right up again.
Looks like there's going to be a bit of a battle for P8 as well with Alexander
Oh, they
Secker,
go
Guillaume
3
Bisset,
wide, are
and
they?
Anton Kvivalainen.
Going 3
Looks like
wide.
they might go 3 wide. Kvivalainen all the way on the inside. Looks like Kvivalainen might be able to make a
bit
move on
of
Bisset.
contact there going round. But so far, all the cars still going in a straight line.
Kvivalainen will have the inside into turn 2.
Still going
He
beside.
will be able to defend.
Meanwhile, just in the background there, Robert Nygaard is going side by side with Sebastian Brunier as well. There's still a lot of fighting going on. This race isn't over yet, and it's definitely not over because we've still got 13 minutes to go. Just a bit further up the road, John Dalton is possibly having a go at Vinnie Roberts. They are now going side by side now into the... And John Dalton makes the pass. So very clean overtake by John Dalton. It's a bit defensive heading into the final 2 corners, but he has made the move and he's up to P6 now.
As Michael Jepstel is in the pit lane, is that the same person who went into the pit lane before? I think it is, and they are heading straight back out of pit lane again. So possibly a penalty? Speeding in the pits?
Possibly, that's the only thing I can really think of. The Robert had another look, make an overtake on to make the move back into Dalton.
Robert Nygaard goes down the inside of Sebastian Brunier into turn 1. And he has to back out of it. Brunier stays at. Oh, Brunier gets it wrong on the curb and runs all the way into the grass on the other side of the circuit.
Bit of lawnmower going on there.
Shabizinski as well.
Well, sometimes the grass needs a bit of a mow as Victor Berlin steams down his inside there. Just had so much more speed. And just something to bear in mind with the fight at the lead, the gap is now under a second between Joseph Honzig and Janssen. See on the timing tower to the side, you can see obviously that is now based on the gaps between the cars rather than the gap to the leader. As Victor Berlin is a bit slow for turn 3, a bit too late on the brakes it seems, and now will have to defend from Sebastian Brunier. Sebastian is not having the best of day right now. His car once again wants to step out from underneath him.
Meanwhile, it seems Honzik is closing up on Thomas Jansen. He's almost within a second now. They are heading up to turn 3. And he did briefly get within a second there, so maybe Honzik has found some extra pace in the car.
As Kovalainen is now going on the inside of Alexander Shecker, heading to turn 2. And will overcook it slightly, allows Alexander Shecker to go back past him and possibly leaves him vulnerable to Brissett behind. And so he now goes too wide, heading into turn 3. It's a bit too late in the break there. There are a bit of contact again, and some of these drivers not leaving each other room at all. They're like pushing against them, basically door to door. And it's a bit risky in these cars. These cars are not actually that stable to contact.
Yeah, they're not very forgiving.
So, I mean, it's great to see the drivers going at it this close, but sometimes it's a bit like, guys, just calm down a bit.
Calm down, please.
We don't want to have a car
For your
pileup.
insanity.
And it's the fact it's like a bunch of cars behind, all the way down to P13, are all behind these guys. So if one guy makes a spin, that's a lot of cars costly collected. But good news so far, not much of that's happened, or if it has happened, it's been a few cars being involved rather than the entire field.
The Honzik is getting within 0.8 of a second of Jensen now. So that might get interesting towards the end of the race with just under 10 minutes left now.
Definitely are closing that gap down at the front. Sebastian Bruno is making a move on Michael Martel, possibly. As Kovalainen's back down the inside of Alexander Second once more. That seems to be Kovalainen's favourite spot for overtaking, but it's not always worked in the way he would like. So maybe he's got to try something a bit different to try and make that overtake happen. It's worth noting, between the leaders, Honzik does have the fastest lap out of everyone on the field right now. 1:31.4, while Jansen's is 1:31.5. Don't know exactly when that was set, because obviously tyres and fuel will be in effect in the race, so... But Kovalainen's looking for another move, as that little black of cars is still very much together.
Becker runs a bit wide, and that's allowed Kovalainen to get closer and possibly go side by side for turn 1.
As Thomas Olsen's also going side by side in the background there, Kozlowski.
Yes, so can Kovalainen make the move on the brakes? No, he won't. There's a bit of contact behind though. There's a bunch of cars going side by side.
Ooh, very close stuff going on here, as we are heading to 7 minutes and 30 seconds left to go, as the gap between Honzik and Jansen's opened up again, so Honzik possibly
bit of touching between Brissett and Kozlowski into turn 2.
Man, this little pack of cars, okay, is P8 all the way to P14. It's this little group of cars. One mistake by any one of these drivers could result in them losing a lot of positions, or possibly taking out half the field.
Yeah, both of those are a very real possibility, yes.
As Robert Nygaard possibly making moves on Kozlowski at the back, he's getting close. As one of the cars runs wide, and that...
Yeah, that was Kwiatkowski.
He's run about rather a bit, few times sometimes, so maybe we're pushing the car a bit too much then. as Kovalainen now has the run on Seca. He's going to have the inside line now for turn 2. Can he make it work this time round? You get more.
Seca just about got a better exit,
But they're
but
still.
Kovalainen is slightly ahead. So it will be a drag race up to turn 2, turn 3, I mean.
Oh, and as they switch over positions, Seca thinks better of it and decides to slot in behind. That's often very risky when that happens, especially in these cars which are unstable on the braking, where someone makes a switch back and then. Because obviously, unlike an open wheeler, you don't really have the same amount of grip when you do that. Open wheels can very easily do them with a downforce, but in these cars, not so much. They did think the best.
Behind them it looks like Kwiatkowski is closing up on Thomas Olsen.
Let's see how
there could be some moves happening there, possibly into turn 1.
Manuel's still very much looking to make the move, and he's now going to try and do what Kovalainen's been doing possibly beforehand, but not quite the same amount of overspeed needed to make that move. And will be forced to sit behind for a bit more. Nygaard was now side by side with Zagowski behind.
Nygaard will have the inside. Can he make the move onto Gazowski? Looks like he will just about get ahead.
Gazowski is a bit loose then. Looks like it's about to turn into him from the TVs.
It looks like Gazowski had to brake a bit.
Car got a bit unsettled there, but it has allowed Robert Nygaard to make the pass.
It looks like Drago's wipe has also retired now.
That is 2 retirements. So far in this race. And Sebastian Bruni, who's not having the best race, he keeps going up and down the order somewhat.
Yeah.
He's now fighting just Dando. Back, he's all the way down.
20th.
Yeah, so he's fallen down the order once more, so not the best. Now, it is something worth bear in mind is that the top 15 are reversed this race. Not the top 10, not the top 8, the top 15, which means that Chabowski will be in pole for race 2 if the race ends like it is right now. That'd be interesting to know, as Janssen has been, the gap between Janssen and Honzik has closed up massively.
It looks like maybe Janssen made a mistake, because Honzik is within half a second now.
They're both getting Janssen somewhat drifting around the corner there, so both cars chewing through their tyres somewhat.
And Nygaard goes on the inside of Brissett, who ran a bit wide into turn 3. And they are still side by side into the next corner. Brissett will be defending on the inside as Nygaard tries to make the switchback happen. And looks like Nygaard might just about get past into the next corner. No,
they're still side by side.
Still side by side, but it looks like Nygaard has made his way past now. Just about.
But he goes very deep into the next corner. Both of them do. And so there's a car behind them, so.
Going deep into corners is what they do here, as Brissett seems to have gotten a better exit out of the final corner and got ahead of Nygaard again into turn 1. No moves happening there.
Berlin's now possibly closing the gap up as well to the car in front of him. But looking to the leaders. They are getting very close indeed. And with 1 minute to go, it's one more lap for these guys after this, I believe. It's all or nothing.
As it's looking like this will be the final lap of the race for the leaders at least. Although Honzik is getting closer to Jensen, I don't really see him having an opportunity to overtake. Robert Nygaard still very close to Guillaume Brisset.
Ooh, Honzig has a bit of a lock-up. The arm balls with Honzig as he's trying to chase down Jansen for the last lap.
As Szczepazinski had a bit of trouble into the second to last corner. Don't think he lost any positions out of that though. Maybe he won. I think he was a bit higher up the order. So yeah, I think he lost a few positions. Really?
Possibly he has, as we enter the final two corners now for the leaders. Will there be enough time? Will Honzig get a good run to this final corner? It's all now or nothing as they will cross the line very shortly. And it does look like Thomas Jansen will take the race victory here at Red Bull Ring. Mark Whitford will come home in P3.
There's still a bit of battling happening between Kwiatkowski and Olsen. As it looks like Robert Nygaard is also still very close to Brisset.
Yeah, it's last lap, so you might receive some desperate moves made as Andrea was down the inside, drops off now.
Nygaard will be trying to get a better exit out of the final corner than Brisset. Brisset rounds a bit wide.
Brisset runs very wide indeed.
As Nygaard is getting closer
Manuel,
now, but I don't think he'll have quite enough time.
No,
and it will be Brisset who crosses the line first.
Michael Martel has secured his pole position for race 2.
Sebastian Brunier comes home in P18. Tendo takes P19. Victor Berlin takes P20.
And that is the race result. Thomas Jensen wins race 1. Honzig with the fastest lap. Order goes Jensen, Honzig, Whitford, Mathiasen, and Smegard.
Medegaard.
There we go. I'm good at pronouncing names. So, race 2. Race 2. So, Thomas Jansen.
Race harder.
Will we have the same chaos we had at last race 2? That is the question. It might be worth somewhat focusing on the cars behind rather than the cars in front to see what sort of launch people will get. As the cars will now start lining up on the grid, they've got 30 seconds to do so. Again, another 30-minute race. As the cars all line up. Michael Martel will start on pole. As the lights are now on. And they are off for race 2. See what happens now. How good a launch for the cars behind gets. All heading to turn 1 now.
Ooh, Nygaard got a bit of a hit up his rear.
Oh, some cars a bit slow then. So, also a little sandwich going on with John Dalton. He's stuck in 3 wide going up the hill. Michael Martel gets a very clean exit. Please don't touch, guys, as it's all heading to turn 2 now. Oh, that was a bit of contact there. Shunts cars round. So the car around Alexander Secca is being turned around. I believe this.
Yeah, Kovalainen is also going slow.
Kovalainen's also been hit. He's going slowly as well.
The Sacher and Griffline have both dropped all the way down the grid.
There's even more body contact now going into turn 3. So we'll try and find their way through. This has somewhat worked very well for the top 5, who somewhat made a little getaway now. Still lots of side-by-side action going on comparatively compared to race 1, which was very much single file at this point. This race, not so much.
Might be the reverse grid spicing things up a bit.
Thomas Janssen has not gained a single position off that start, while Honzig is still fighting. There's a car off. Another car static off the side there.
Yeah, that was Thomas Olsen, who managed to spin his way into the pit entry. He has gotten back on track now in P20.
Oh, Victor Berlin's gone a bit loose then. On the exit, got a bit of so much occurred. Maybe we'll get passed by a few cars, including Thomas Janssen, who now moves up to P13. As
Berlin goes round into 2, it looks like he wanted to make the move up the inside of someone, but to be honest, that seemed pretty ambitious.
Especially this early on in the race.
Yeah, so he's dropped into 21st position. Still in front of Anton Krievelainen. Jaroslav Hanzik is in P10. And he is currently behind Kwiatkowski. His rival Janssen still in P13. Hanzik makes the move down the inside of Kwiatkowski. And he gets it done. Kwiatkowski is still vulnerable to Radek Pelexek. Into the second to last corner. Pelexek will go down the inside. Or maybe not. Having to back out a bit. Pelexek will have a lot of overspeed on the straight now. So he moves to the inside, heading up to turn 1, and he moves back. Behind him you can see Thomas Janssen making the move on Magnus Medegaard.
Right now between Honzig and Janssen, there's 2 cars. That's where Plesnik and House having so there's a bit of a fight there at row, and as Honzig tries to go up the inside of Whitford. I think this car's
what's happening here? Vinnie Roberts also getting involved, going side by side with Mark Whitford.
Ooh, the car pulled off to the side.
All the way to the outside. Yeah, that was Vinnie Roberts.
Don't know what's going on there. He just pulled out the way. He's going up quite slowly right now. Maybe some technical issues. Honzig's now up into P8. As Zazowski has a bit of an issue of his own and loses 2 positions to Robert Nigel and John Dalton. Loses a bit of traction there. And
Honzik getting very close to Mark Whitford now. On the main straight, looks like he will have the outside as they are just behind Colin Mathieson as well.
oh, there's a car going 2 wheels in the background there. I believe that was Pletsek who was going a bit there. As Colin Matthiassen's right behind Brissett, as you said. As they're now going too wide into it. Ooh, Whitford loses traction and slides in front.
Whitford has spun on the outside of turn 2.
He lost a...
He fell all the way down to P14. As Honzik is now back up to P6 and makes the move on Colin Mathieson. Honzik is now in P5, they're still side by side with Mathieson.
Then there's a bit of contact there with Mark.
Done here. Looks like he will.
I don't like there's a bit of contact going on with Mark Whitford and Honzig then, because he's under braking. It looked like Whitford lost a bit of control there, and then obviously once he lost control in these cars, there's no stopping. You will just go, and he slid straight across in front of a car. So I don't know if there's a bit of contact there, or was it just losing under brakes? But whatever happened, it has played favourably into Honzig's position. Meanwhile, Thomas Janssen is still struggling to get past.
Yeah, he's still down in P10. Now
Still,
trying to make the move on Radek Palexek. Heading up to turn 1. And Jensen will take the inside here. As they go side by side around the corner. He slots back behind Palexek.
this is one thing we know Janssen for. Janssen's very good when he's in front. But Honzig is definitely a lot better at just forcing his way the issue. Because we always see this, the fact that once Jensen's behind someone, he often struggles to overtake, while Honzig just seems to be a lot better at getting the job done. As Honzig is now up into P4.
Yeah, that is something that I think becomes really obvious in these reverse grid races.
Mark Whitford is now making his way, trying to make his way back up the order. He's moved up to P11. Gets past Magnus. As always, a car spun round.
Looks like that is Kozłowski.
Yeah, Kozłowski is spun around.
He's down to P21 now. Looks like he's going to lose another position. So he's all the way in last position.
Don't think much choice there as the cars as Thomas Janssen's going on the outside of Radek Palexek. Maybe he's heard the stream a bit and decided to get a bit more aggressive now. He's trying to move his way up to P8. But his rival is already up into P4. As you said, Thomas Janssen definitely does seem to struggle a lot more in these races. A lot more patient, and that's useful in some cases, but in other cases it's not really.
It often just ends up with Honzig getting through the field a lot quicker and having a better chance at the win. As it seems there may be some fighting soon for P2 with Robert Nygaard and John Dalton.
As Jansen's now going to go around the outside of Brissett, so maybe he is deciding to get a bit more aggressive now. Sometimes you just need to realise that, hang on a second, my championship rival is already up into P4. I need to get a bit of a move on. And he is definitely quicker than a lot of the other drivers right now in front of him. But his fastest lap is quite far off the pace compared to even the cars in front of him, so he does get past Brissett, but does lose a bit of time to Kovalainen, or Palexek I mean actually, who moves in front of him. So you gain one, but he loses one in the process.
Yes, now there's Whitford trying to make the move on Brissett as well. Yes, so maybe a bit of touching going on there. As Whitford is looking to have the inside into turn 2. Let's hope this all goes well for him this time around.
Bit of a lock up as Sebastian Bunia.
Yeah, a bit of touching between Sebastian Bunia and Vinnie Roberts.
So that's a close little gaggle of cars. Tiny bits of lockups coming into that corner. Vinnie Roberts does manage to get in front though. But will this be the same after turn 3 as Sebastian will go down the inside? Round.
As it looked like Palexek ran a bit wide and Janssen has made his way past now.
Vinnie Roberts loses 2 positions out of that. I think he tries to turn in somewhat into Sebastian. Not gonna really work. He did have the inside line though, so we'll see. But he has lost the position. He's gained it back though. So he only lost to Sebastian, who is now in front of him. as we have gone past the 20-minute mark, so we've got 19 minutes to go. As Michael Martel is still leading this race, and he's got somewhat of a comfortable lead now. As someone has gone off, I believe it's Mark Whitford has gone off in the
Yes, he
last
has.
corner. As another car's also gone off as well on the start-finish straight, and this is not going to be good as
Yeah, that is
Seka has to avoid
Kwiatkowski.
then. Seka noticed at the last minute that Porsche is facing the wrong way, and it does avoid him. Luckily, no one does hit him. I don't know what exactly went on there. But all we know is the tyre smoke of the remains of it. As Sebastian Brunier is also now making the move onto Brissett now as well. But also outbrakes himself once more and does possibly lose a position out of this as well. So a lot of action still going on, as it always is in these races. Cup car races always lead to good racing, it seems. There's a bit of a turn in there, Sebastian. You've got to be a bit careful about that sometimes. Some people are a bit more feisty than others. Always got to expect that. As John Dalton is still on the back of Robert Nygaard. Obviously they're buying their time, but they've got to be careful because Honzig will be definitely trying to close that gap. Because Janssen has now managed...
He is definitely closing that gap, Honzig.
As Janssen's got a bit of free air now. He's got a 2-second gap to Colin Mathiasson in front. Now those two used to be teammates back last season, so I don't think they're teammates now. Well, obviously not. But, be interesting to see. You know, obviously Connor's been out of racing, OVRC racing for a bit now, so it's nice to see him back, along with John.
Dalton is now moving side by side with Robert Nygaard coming up to turn 2.
Now, it will be the best interest for both Michael and these two other two if this overtake is clean as possible.
And looks like Dalton will make the move on Nygaard into turn 2, although... yeah, looks like he has. Maybe Nygaard could still do something about that into turn 3. You can see Honzig getting very close to them now.
Honzig's now making a move on to Nygaard. Down the inside, which will also turn for the outside for the next corner. So who's more brave on the brakes? Just look like Robert Nygaard
Honzig has gotten ahead of Robert Nygaard.
He has conceded that position, and now he's got John Dalton ahead.
Straggles bypass retired.
Now it's important for Michael in this case that this fight goes on as long as possible. What he wants is John to make that Porsche of his as wide as possible so Honzig can't get past him. I'm pretty sure once Honzig gets clean air, he'll be off. And saying that, they will go side by side possibly. And they won't. John's got a bit more speed, but Honzig will definitely... No, he doesn't. He decided to slot in behind. Now John Dalton goes defensive. I don't actually know if the inside line is the corner to take round here. You're always going to get a slightly better exit on the outside here. It's a similar thing to what happened at Hockenheim in the GT2 series, where the outside line was somewhat a better line to have because you always just had a bit more traction. But there are definitely side by side, but Honzig has managed to get in front.
Yeah, looks like Dalton backed out there.
And he's now
So
moving.
you might have Alexander Sacher making move onto Czebazinski into turn 3. But he just about does it. No, he won't. Yeah, they do go side by side, and Sacher will have the outside into the next corner. As they are still side by side, and you can see Anton Kovalainen coming up behind them as well. And Czebazinski stays in front. Ooh, that was getting a bit loose there. And Sacher is still very closely behind. Possibly able to make the move here. Looks like he will just about.
Ooh, there's a bit of
Ooh,
contact
gets a bit
there.
tricky
Oh, a
and
bit contact. And he's spun, he's lost it. He's going to lose a bunch of positions there. I believe there was a bit of contact though between him and... Ooh, who was it? There's a bit... Oh, there's a slow car up ahead.
Yeah, a lot of smoke
Oh,
there.
Preset has got front end damage, it seems. So he's missing his front bumper, and he might have to go into the pits to repair that. But he's going to be losing positions after positions now. Because the understeer will get a lot worse for him. Someone's obviously had a bit of a lock-up into turn 2, but... carnage in the final few corners, it seems. As Thomas Jansen moved to P5. As he's still on his chase to try and catch Honzig before it's too late.
So he
Ideal.
is past Mathiesen now, and looks like Radek Polexak might be closing up on Mathiesen.
As well, Robert Nygaard has had an off moment. He's dropped down to P7, so I don't know what's gone on there, but he has an off moment. As Mark Whitford is now on the charge to try and make as many positions up as he can make again after what was a good start, then turned to a bad start. And he's trying to fight his way.
Polexak got very twitchy in turn 1 and lost a lot of time to Conor Mathiesen. Looks like Brezet is getting passed by Alexander Sacher into turn 1. Brezet still with that front end damage. He's not going to the pits at this time. Mark Whitford makes a move down the inside of Thomas Olsen. And Whitford moves up to P9.
A bit further down the order curve line is tries to try and make his way back up the order once again. He's in P15.
Yeah, right behind Sabasinski.
As just saw there, Victor Berlin attacking the curb a lot, gets his car lifted up onto two wheels then for a split second. He's obviously trying to push as hard as he can. He's got Sebastian Brunner in front of him. As Kurbline is now going on the inside into turn 1. And he will make the move and he will get in front.
So just about 10 minutes left in the race now. And Jaroslav Honzik is within 3.2 seconds of the lead. His fastest lap is 3/10 faster than Markstel in first position. So we'll see if he still has enough time to make his way up to P1. Thomas Jansen is in P4. And I'm not sure if he's really still in contention for the lead.
The car spin, and the car as Manuel has lost his front end, so is the car behind him. So currently in P19, 20 and 21 are missing their front bumpers. And obviously can go into the pits to get this repaired if they feel like it is needed. It will obviously add that front downforce back again. Obviously, you are losing quite a bit of downforce, missing that front. Surprising what it does. cars do understeer a lot more, so it'll be interesting to see if they do decide to pit, and he does decide to go in the pits. They just decide that maybe it is just a better idea just to concede the position. Yeah, go into the pits. So that is a.
Although he is now in lost position, and I don't think he really has any chance to get any positions back unless someone makes a major mistake. Of course, if you finish in 21st position, you still get a sizable amount of points, so probably worth just finishing the race anyway.
What don't happen is to get hit and have a dead engine. Is
Yeah,
doable.
exactly. And Mark Whitford closing up on Vinnie Roberts.
He's looking and
yeah, he had a little look, but he's not close enough there. Maybe for turn 1 he might be able to set himself up if he gets a good exit here.
Oh, it's Vinnie Roberts does take the bit too much curb then and go onto 2 wheels, and but lucky doesn't lose too much time out of that.
Yeah, Whitford not able to make a move.
Meanwhile, the fight for the lead is now under a second. And then another car retire.
That is Ryszard Kozłowski, who I think was one of the cars at the back with front end damage. It looked like Magnus Smedegaard has made his way past Thomas Olsen now. Just into turn 2.
As Victor Berlin is also trying to make a move now.
Oh, there's a car off in turn 2. It was Vinnie Roberts. Kind of parked in a dangerous position there, but nobody got hit, fortunately.
Victor Berlin's made the move from Sebastian Brunier, but Sebastian is coming to
Sebastian's
fight back.
Still defending.
He get his nose up, but he does concede the position. Victor Berlin moves up to P12. As Victor Berlin goes very wide to the final corner. And allows Sebastian Brunier to get all that time back up again.
It's side by side between Jobstel and Czepasinski. Going up to turn 1 now, fighting for P15, and Jobstel backs out of it. Brunier still getting very close to Victor Berlin, coming up to turn 2. Like Berlin will take the inside here. Did Brunier get a better exit? And looks like he won't. Just overcooked it slightly into turn 2, I think. As Jobstel has made his way past Czepasinski now.
Oh, and Vinnie Roberts is into the gravel once again, so he's struggling into turn 3, it does seem. As Honzig is, for a split second, now wants to get under the 1 second mark to Michael Martel. And it's also worth noting, it's 5 minutes left, so can Michael hold off Honzig for 5 minutes? Well, obviously hitting him. That obviously could happen. Never know.
It's a possibility, yes.
He could, like, oh, you overtake me, he just turns into him. It's like, and then he gets banned from a race, so, you know. I'll leave it up to him, but obviously, anything could happen. It's still 5 minutes to go. As this Kovaline's now having a go at Sebastian onto the start-finish straight now.
And looks like Kovalainen backed out of that. Radek Polacek might still be able to make a move on Robert Nygaard pretty soon. Fighting for 6th position. They're now heading up to turn 3. I'm not expecting anything to happen into there. Oh, someone behind it gets it wrong, and it's Mark Whitford. Whitford has spun in turn 3. Just about avoided the gravel trap, but he has dropped down to P10, lost 2 positions out of that.
Meanwhile, Honzig is now right on the back of Michael. This will be... as Honzig is possibly going for a move. Sides against it. We'll have all the slipstream going up the hill now, as we are running on board with him. As Michael goes, and oh, that's a very late break there, and he does get in the front, so Honzig takes the lead of the second race. Don't think, unfortunately, Michael has the pace to really be much of a challenge now.
I'd agree with that. It looks like Thomas Jensen is still closing up on John Dalton. So it looks like he will still have a chance at P3. I don't think he's in competition for the win.
Comes down to the fact that every time this happens, Honzig always just seems to be quicker to get out of the mad rush at the start.
Yeah.
Either that's because he's more forceful, he's more aggressive in the overtakes, or he's just quick in that sort of situation. He always seems to be able to get up the order quicker, because every reverse order race, he always seems to be quite far up the order. Anyway, Brett Pletzek is on the back of Robert Nygaard still. Thomas Janssen is trying to close the gap onto John Dalton. And your random fact of the day, Sebastian Brunier has the highest top speed this race.
Nice. Is it out for... My thing is saying John Dalton.
What speed?
247 kilometers an hour.
247. I got 248 heading into turn 2, so congratulations, Sebastian. You have the fastest possible speed.
Oh, now it's Thomas Jensen with 248.
Mine hasn't changed. Oh dear. Gotta love shared memory API sometimes. Anyway, Mark Whitford is closing the back of Thomas Olsen, and Brad Pletzig is doing the same to Robert Nygaard. More at 11. As a bit of contact there with Robert Nygaard, I believe, and Pletzek, as they go through very slowly, and then
a bit of contact between Whitford and Thomas Olsen, and Olsen is off.
He's into the barriers, no damage on his car it seems, but...
Olsen has dropped all the way down to P14, so he lost a bunch of positions out of that.
Don't really know what happened there, we just saw the aftermath of it on stream. As there will be one more lap after this, as Honzig is now crossing the line.
And he has made a fair margin to Michael Marktel now. As Thomas Jensen is looking ever closer to John Dalton. So he should still be able to make the move in the final lap, I think. Possibly into turn 2, which is where they are heading now. As it looks like Jensen is going to go up the inside of Dalton. No, he won't. He backs out of it.
He goes for the cutback.
Maybe trying to get better exit out of it. Doesn't look like it's really working out for him though.
John Dalton moves a bit out, trying to break the slipstream if he can. Bit of weaving then. Trying to break the slipstream. As the flag is now, the clock is at 0. This is the last lap. So it's all or nothing, as I commonly say, for Janssen to try and get as many points as possible, because otherwise Honzig's going to make a slight start getting away from him if he's not careful. So Honzig is going through the final corner right now. crossing the line. And we'll take victory for the second race. Michael takes P2 and John Dalton, from the looks of
We'll
things,
take
will
P3.
3 and Johnson gets P4. So he not quite the result race he wanted.
Connor Mathieson will be next to cross the line in P5.
As Robert Nygaard and Rob Persick are still fighting to the bitter end. Persick goes a bit wide, but it's going to be as Nygaard takes home P6.
Lexek in P7, Magnus Smedegaard takes P8. Mark Richards will take P9, bit of a disappointing race for him, I think. Had a few bits of trouble. Victor Berlin took P10, so decent result for him. Sebastian Brunier took P11. 12th was Anton Kovalainen. 13th Vinnie Roberts. 14th Thomas Olsen, Michael Jepstel in P15. Bartosz Szabozinski in P16. P17 is Alexander Zacher. Thijs Dendo takes P18 and Guillaume Brisset is coming on the final corner now to take P19.
With his mildly damaged car.
Yeah. Manuel Kwiatkowski, Ryszard Kazowski and Dragos Baib have retired.
So,
did not finish the race.
Jansen got fastest laps. It's a complete switch around, apart from the fact that Jansen finished P4. So your order is Honzig, Martel, Dalton, Jansen, Mathiasen, Nygaard, Platzek, Schmergud, Whitford, and Berlin. I butchered that name up horribly. And that is Red Bull Ring for the GT3 Cup. And again, another very close race. And a lot of close racing actually that time around. And if the race was 10 minutes shorter, Michael could have won that, I think. But it wasn't. It was a 30-minute race, not a 20-minute race.
Yeah.
So, but there you go. So Honda does take the victory and will extend his championship lead. As the server will reset over back to practice, and that will be us, I think, from the OVRC. As the race is all finished, no more racing until next week. Because there's no GT4 Cup this week, isn't it?
No, there will be 2 races next week. There will be on Monday the OVRC GT2 series at Monza. And then Thursday will be the GT4 series also at Monza. So if you'd like to see that, make sure you subscribe to this channel.
You should have done that already. Because we should have. Anyway, anything you'd like to leave off, Erwin, before we end the stream, apart from thank you all for watching?
Thank you all for watching. Press the like button if you liked it. That sort of thing. And see you again next week hopefully.
Yep. Yeah, we will see you all next week. Thank again for tuning in and hope you all enjoyed it. And that's pretty much it. We're repeating ourselves now. I will end it here. Goodbye.
Bash the like button.